Thank you. If you could just let me know when we're
ready to go.
We're ready to go. Okay, thank you very much. Right. Good evening, councillors, and welcome to this virtual planning committee on the 27th of April. First of all, could we just begin? Do I have, well, obviously I don't have any apologies for absence because we're all here. Moving on, declaration of interest. I'm going to declare an interest, and I can't remember the number, but I think is it 20 carpenters?
It is, yes, and I've got the application
number.
Yes,
and I'll declare a personal pecuniary interest on the basis that I have a fairly close personal friend who lives in Kennisbourne, I think it's Kennisbourne Court, which is the block of flats immediately on her flat. It's immediately opposite on, it effectively faces onto part of it faces onto Kennisbourne Court and runs along the side there. So I think for the reasons of transparency, I'll declare an interest.
Okay, I've got that.
Thank you. Could we move on to the minutes, please, of the 6th of April? Can I ask councillors if you could just signify that you're happy that I sign those minutes as a true record?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank
Unanimous. Do we have any public questions?
No, Chair, none at all.
Letters of objection. Well, we have letters of objection, as we all know, regarding 80 Meadway, but that is covered under the item when we come to look at it. Item 6 is the applications registered the week ending the 1st of April, the week ending the 9th of April, and the week ending 16th of April. And we are taking 80 Meadway as the first item, so that can be dealt with first. So I'll hand over to you. Do you want to say anything before we invite our speaker to speak?
Yeah, I'll just run through my observations. Can I just ask, is anybody else hearing Rosemary's voice sounding a little bit funny?
Yeah,
or is it
very
just
echoey.
like
It's very echoey.
Okay.
Right. You just cut.
Okay, right. So Heather's, sorry? Right, Heather's got the pictures up on the screen for me, for the councillors. These were my observations just by looking at the plans, and you'll see some of the screen pictures up for you as well. So this application is for alterations to a large detached dwelling which is sited in a road consisting of a wide range of variously designed properties. The host property sits on a large plot with drive-in, drive-out access and appropriately dropped curbs at both entrances. Screening is provided by 3.4 metre tall hedges adjacent to number 78 Meadway and at the rear of the property facing Ashcroft Road, and a 2.7 metre fence to the boundary of 82 Meadway. The proposal shows the intention to subdivide the plot and convert the existing dwelling into 2 4-bedroom semi-detached dwellings while still retaining the existing detached appearance of the existing property where possible. The double garage has been incorporated into one of the proposed dwellings, and the main front elevation of the property has been altered with the addition of a bay window to replace the garage, 2 single-storey extensions which house the entrances to the dwellings, and the addition of a first-floor side extension on the existing single-storey side elevation, which is set far enough away from number 78 Meadway to have no detrimental impact. The roof height of the existing building is proposed to be raised from 8020 metres to 8350 metres, which will be in line with neighbouring property number 82 Meadway, and will house 2 dormer windows to allow for 2 bedrooms and a bathroom in each of these areas. The roof line is also shown to be altered to a hip to gable design. This would not be out of keeping with the street scene, as there are a variety of roof designs throughout the road. The single-storey rear extensions are made up of flat green roofs, and although extend further out than the existing footprint, do not appear to have any detrimental impact on neighbouring property number 78 Meadway. Sufficient area has been accommodated for the parking of 4 vehicles for each property, and amenity space is appropriate for each 4-bedroom dwelling house. No trees or hedging will be affected by this proposal. Overall, the proposal does not appear to be out of keeping the street scene, as the design has accommodated the existing property and does not have a detrimental impact on neighbouring properties or the character of the area. Consider no objection.
Thank you, Mim. Could I invite Mrs. Shepherd now to speak? If you could try and keep it to 3 minutes, that would be helpful.
Yeah, no, I've done that. Thank you. Well, I live at 82 Meadway. If this application is granted, close neighbours will be overwhelmed, overshadowed, overlooked, and lose light. Meadway residents have submitted 23 objections to date. The key complaints are: the new building will be totally out of character with the rest of Meadway, especially the section from Sibley Avenue up to 100. With its dominating raised, squared-off roof, it will be too tall for its setting. The uneven division, front and back, and its design have neither symmetry nor synergy with its surroundings and neighbourhood. Turning the front garden into a car park for 8 cars will result in the loss of established planting and lawn, causing environmental damage. Parking 8 cars in the front of the proposed dwelling will cause noise and environmental pollution. It is a contrived, impractical and unsafe plan. 4 of the spaces nearest the dwelling can only be accessed if the vehicles in front move out of the way in order to give passage. With the loss of the drive-in out facility, there will be multiple vehicles frequently reversing in and out of the driveway, which is located between 2 bends on a hill. Neighbours' sight lines will be blocked by the inevitable spillover parking in front of their properties between the bends. And we experienced great difficulty ourselves when the applicant enlarged this house significantly in 2005 and builders parked in front of 82 and 80. To date, Meadway has only experienced minor accidents, but its winding form up and down a hill invites speeding. Local residents have witnessed speeding and police have been contacted in the past. We ask that the highways team respects residents' local knowledge, some of whom have lived here for over 40 years. The team should note the increased risks for road users by the vehicle movement in and out of 80 and the inevitable spillover parking, especially as children walk to the Grove School from here and an increasing number will be cycling to KWS. Also, we remind you that Meadway is a bus route. There is a restrictive covenant limiting development on this section of Meadway to a single dwelling. The Department of the Environment rejected a design on the Wheathampstead Road recently on the grounds that it was out of character with the neighbourhood and street scene. We say the new dwelling will be too big, completely dissimilar to any other property, will create road safety issues and damage the environment. With Grove Wood and the fields towards Hart Wood behind one side and Greenway Spinney Nature Reserve behind the other side of Meadway, this proposal is completely out of place in this rural setting, which we all nurture and appreciate so very much. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillors, just before I invite you to comment, could I just briefly mention, as I imagine most of you are aware, that mention has been made of a restrictive covenant, but covenants are not a planning matter, that is a legal matter for the applicant, and you have to seek a legal process to deal with that. Apart from that, can I invite comments, please? John, I think you had your hand up first.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I have a lot of sympathy that this is an overdevelopment. What you've got to, it's difficult to see from the plan, but you can see if you walk up the road, is the drop in height from number 80 to I think it's number 78. And therefore any upbuild there will actually exaggerate that particular feature. And I think that the square roof, flat roof at the back will be clearly visible from the front of the street. So I think that the whole of that will have a detrimental and overbearing effect. The other area I'm particularly concerned about is the drawings for the parking, where you have 8 cars. In actual fact, I think that's more than is actually required for this development. But if there were to be 8 cars on there, they're all double parked, and if there is a bend in that road, as the resident has correctly pointed out, and I'm not sure what the risks are to of accidents from such a development. And finally, whilst we've said there's no effect on the trees and shrubs on that side, looking at the drawings, I'm not totally convinced if you were to put the 4 cars on, particularly on the side of number 78, whether or not that those trees and shrubs wouldn't be affected in some way. But with the plans, that's difficult to say.
Thank you. Yes, Paul Court, that is.
Yeah, I want to build on the point about the car parking access. Having lost the in and out, we have the situation where whether there's 3 cars or 4 cars there, people are naturally going to turn in, therefore to get out, they're going to reverse. Yeah. And that is a concern for me for safety and the related issues highlighted. I also note that the entrances, because they've subdivided the front to make it 2 distinct front drives, they are very, very tight in terms of manoeuvring. So I think that would be a linked concern to me. I totally take the point about walking and cycling to the Grove and to Catherine Warrington School. We know that's going to go up and up. Currently only got years 7 and 8 in there, and it's going to go up to 5 more years of entry. We must encourage more cycling and walking to that site, and if parents consider it dangerous, some of the key routes, that's a problem. And for me, that's the biggest difference in terms of how it's out of character, actually. For me, not so much in terms of its look and all that, there are a range of houses, but it is out of character having squeezing in another house into the same area and therefore 4 more residents. And just finally, on top of that, I don't see the trade-off being with a big increase in housing provision. It's 1 more house. And it's a 4-bedroom house. Well, it's 2 4-bedroom houses. If again we were getting some housing provision which was closer to what our shortages were in the town, I might be persuaded slightly differently. I suspect I wouldn't, given the safety angle.
Thank you. Do I have any other comments? Yeah, Paul. I guess I was going to say, I'm sorry, Mrs. Shepherd. Once you've spoken, then members of councils then only have the floor.
Okay.
I've got unstable internet, it says. I think, well, I agree with the sentiment, so I would be happy with something stronger than no objection. I fear a little bit that some of these are not material planning considerations, I think, as the chair pointed out. And if, for example, the Highways Authority is happy with the access, which they almost always are, like 99.9 times out of 100, then some of these things might not stand up at appeal, but I would be happy with something a little stronger than no, something more negative than no objection.
Yes, and in fact, Councillor Cowley.
I was just going to echo that and say I think express concern based on a lot of the things that have been said tonight, plus adding in some comments about amenity, because I think it is important to note that the resident concerns around it about amenity, and I think the district council should be aware of those.
I was just going to say, councillors, as you may have noticed, Highways has expressed some concerns, but have not outright said they are against it. But I think there are some rather difficult to read hand-drawn amendments and certainly Highways have said there are changes they will wish to see made to address the safety issue and the access. So did any other councillors wish to speak? I mean, my view is I am concerned that I think it is out of keeping with the street view and is an overdevelopment of the plot. From what I'm hearing from councillors, and you can correct me if you're wrong, am I hearing that you are more minded to go, I would go if we're going not outright refusal, we're going express concern, I would go express strong concern. Councillor Turnbull.
Thanks, Chair. I actually would reject it on the grounds of I think we can't pussyfoot about. I'd say if we're minded to have all these criticisms of it, looking at the 3D image, I think it looks like a bit of a barrack block, and I would turn it down on the grounds of bulk mass and not in keeping with the street scene. Full stop.
I have to say that is my view, because I think it's not just the creating of a precedent, putting semi-detached into an area of the street scene where the houses are all detached. I mean, it is, yes, it almost looks like a barrack, but it's very over-dominant. And my preference would be councillors to recommend refusal on this ground. So perhaps, does anybody else want to speak, or can we go to the vote? No, okay, so can I ask, first of all, from the chair, I say that we recommend refusal. I'll ask councillors to signify if they agree with that. Thank you, that is unanimous. So, and Mim, have you got all the reasons on overdevelopment, size, bulk,
Yep.
etc.,
Yep.
and concerns about road safety?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, councillors. Well, you're welcome to stay, Mrs. Shepherd, but I don't suppose you want to sit through the rest of the planning meeting. Thank you, good night. Okay, if we can. Right, moving on then to 2021-0499 Pinecrest, Saltsea Avenue.
Right, okay, got some pictures for this, Hev,
You have
please.
indeed, yep.
Right, okay. Now, this property is actually in the possession of Herts County Council, I believe, the Education Trust, and currently sits within the boundary of Sir John Law School. Access to the property is via the double gates of the school. The proposal is looking to demolish this dwelling house and construct two semi-detached properties which will have associated parking and separate vehicular access. The properties will be 4-bedroomed and appear to be a welcome replacement to the dated property that currently sits on the site. As you can see here, it's quite small on the site and there's quite a large dwelling to the right of it. The neighbouring property, number 25 Saltsea Avenue, has a single-storey extension built up to its side boundary with 2 side windows on the first floor elevation. It's unclear whether these are obscurely glazed. However, the proposed properties would not create any amenity issues as there appears to be sufficient space between the plots. This area of Saltsea Avenue has substantially sized properties and parking restrictions during school hours. The proposed properties appear to be set sufficiently from the boundary and show the same roof height and rear building line as number 25. 3 parking spaces are shown for each property along with a proposed new shared access point. The proposal does not appear to have any detrimental impact on the street scene or the character and appearance of the area or neighbouring properties. The application states that no trees at the rear of the property will be affected. However, it does not mention the trees which are sited along the side boundaries and which can be seen from the road. And these are actually can be seen in the street view. I think there's a few there that you might, yeah, there's some along the sides there, and they don't show on the plans, on the proposed plans, that is. Consider express concern with regards to the proposed loss of trees along the side boundaries of the property, subsequent loss of screening and the lack of proposed planting on a 2:1 ratio, policy ESD 14 of the Harpenden Neighbourhood Plan and policy 74 of the St Albans District Local Plan refers.
Thank you. Nigel.
Thanks, Chair. I would raise the same objection we've had with the last one, although it's not quite so dominant. You've got a bit of a slab of a building looking at the picture on my other screen. And if you look at the roof, to me, the roof is overly dominant. If the roof were the same shape as the existing building next door, I'd be happy. But I think we need to do something about that roof. To me, it's a bit like a barrack block again. You see what I'm trying to say? If the roof were sort of sloping in and the ends of the building, I think it would look less dominant and more in keeping with the street. Because I'm entirely right in saying also, this is a road without semi-detached houses, they're all detached.
I think that's right. I'm trying to think of that. If you're down on the school side of it, going further down past the primary school, I'm trying to remember if there are any semis down there or not. I don't think there are. There's been a lot of development along this. I don't know offhand. I don't think so. Paul.
Thank you, Chair. Well, funny enough, yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I thought it was slightly ironic that we have a characterful road, probably in the conservation area, is it? I'm not sure, full of detached houses, and then we've got a semi-detached. I mean, I don't really mind the design. I probably wouldn't be pushing that strongly to reject this, but it is possibly slightly ironic.
I can't remember if any of the newer properties on that same side of the road further down, if there are any semi-detached further down, because there's development further down, isn't there? There's a development when you go down a little tiny side road and there are houses behind.
I mean, the parking is, am I right in thinking that the parking, effectively 2 of the spaces are blocked in? So if you've got 3 cars on the drive, you know, which to my mind is worse than the previous one that we rejected, because at least the previous one you would be able to get 2 cars out, you know.
Yes.
But
well, you've got a fundamental issue with parking there because you're right beside the school.
Yeah.
On the road. I'm just Matt.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I mean, I agree with Nigel. When I saw the plans for this, I thought it seems to me a bit like they're trying to squeeze a little too much property into the plot. But I think the point about the trees, I think is quite significant, because it looked to me like there were a substantial number of trees on that side of that plot. And I think, I mean, I would be inclined to stick with an express concern rather than a refusal, but I would be inclined to add a word in along the lines of significant or strong or significant, yes. Significant, something along those lines, just to reiterate that point, because it's the principle as much as anything else of the fact that not replanting those trees.
I mean, I could see, yes, but I could see, only to go on looking what you can see on the screen, it actually did look with an existing tree planting a bit of a jungle, so you might want to do some slightly different planting. I can also see running along down the side of the school, you probably do want some screening in, don't you? So any other comments? So I'm just thinking where we're looking to go. I mean, what's in some ways I think it's a bit too big. I'm not quite sure what else they're going to do, but I think I would probably go down and express concern, and I think I would include that concern that the
Pip's got a hand up.
Oh, sorry, Pip's got your hand up. I've just seen.
I think it really comes down to the parking.
Yes.
It is, you know, the kids come streaming out of that school at end of school day, the zigzag lines all the way along that area.
Yeah.
I think it's, in some ways, it's very similar to the school that we
Yes.
the application we just had.
Yes.
Really.
And if, in fact, even more so, because actually
Yeah.
they need, you know, the cars there wanted some reason they needed Oansville. They
Yeah.
actually couldn't. I don't think you can't park on the road because I
No.
assume from the location of that house it must have a zigzag running along it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
same issues, I think.
Okay, I'll go Paul to court first, and then Paul Cousin second.
Well,
Paul, you're on mute.
Sorry,
Thank
I
you.
agree with Pip and others who've mentioned the parking as my main concern. I'm less concerned about the screening at the side
Yes.
because that will be overlooks the school. I think whoever owned that would lived in there would like that. I suspect who's going to live in there is the caretaker. So they can keep a better eye on things. I mean, obviously the economics of this is such as as I understand it used to be the caretaker's house. I
Yes,
assume
it is.
they will want to offer one of them to the caretaker, then make their money
Yes.
out the other one. And that's why it's a terraced house, not one sort of nicer. I
Yes.
agree, it's quite run down house, and a replacement would be good for housing
Yes.
stock purposes. But I think there is a problem with the school, and remember, it's not just the senior school.
No, you've got the primary school as well.
Yeah, I think there's a problem with the school creating a situation that creates a bigger parking problem and a potentially greater safety for the parents and of course crucially the children. So I'm not really comfortable with that solution for the parking.
Thank you. Other Paul.
Thank you, Chair. I was just going to say, in terms of the character and the fact that there are, it's a semi and most of it attached. I guess one argument for being a bit more lenient with this is that the previous application, there were 24 letters of objection, which you could say is a reasonable indication of the feeling. I'm not sure that there are any here. I don't know. Certainly not to the same extent. So you could say that.
Because I think that house is, in a sense, that site has always been a bit of an anomaly because, as other Paul has said, it's the caretaker's house.
Highways were happy with it, going by their report.
Which makes it difficult to refuse on those grounds. If Highways accept, it makes it very difficult. I think it's difficult to go beyond express strong concern. I think we could say express strong concern and perhaps say, notwithstanding that the proposals appear to have been accepted by Highways, there is considerable concern about road safety, given the fact that the property is immediately adjacent to two schools with restricted parking and heavy traffic at certain times of the day. But if Highways don't object, it's always rather difficult to refuse on road safety if Highways are okay with it. But I think we can say that. As regards the actual property, as I say, I'm not. I take the point everything else is detached, but as I say, the house is an anomaly anyway on the road. In a sense, in fact, that it is very much allied to the school. And as Paul says, I would assume that one half of, if they're doing two houses like you, I'd assume that one will be kept school use. I mean, I don't know, but I would assume so. So could I mean, councillors, if we suggest that we express strong concern on the road safety issue, and I think I would say, notwithstanding, I'm quite happy to say, notwithstanding the fact that Highways have no objection, would we be happy to go with that? So, Nigel, were you voting, or did you want to say something?
I'm voting.
Are you voting? Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Unanimous.
2021 70735 does not meet criteria for the consideration. The same applies to 5/2020 actually it was 5/2021 even. Yeah, right, yeah, 5/2021 0755. and 5/20/21 2021 0785. Oh, and another one, 5/20/21 0607. So then move on to 5/20/21 0744 at 30 Roundwood Park.
Right, okay, we've got some pictures for this one, I believe. And before I give my comments, there's no letters of objection on the website for this one either. So this property is set on a large plot and looks to increase habitable accommodation by adding a 2-storey extension, which is to be sited in the middle of the rear elevation set away from neighbouring properties. The part 2-storey side extension is shown on the elevation adjacent to number 32 Roundwood Park. There is a track stroke pathway leading to number 30A at the rear of the host property. No loss of amenity will impact on number 32. The proposed conversion of the loft will allow for 2 rear dormers and 6 front roof lights and house 2 additional bedrooms, but there will be no increase in the roof height. There will be an increase in bedrooms from 4 to 6 with sufficient on-site parking provision. No trees or hedges will be affected by this proposal. Consider no objection.
Thank you. Do I have any comments, councillors, or are we happy to go with that recommendation? Looks okie dokies to me. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
5/20/21 0753 does not meet the criteria for consideration, and similarly for 5/20/21 0781. So then move on to 5/20/21 0764 for change of use of first floor from class 3.
All right, this one again, no letters of objection or further information were available on the website. I'm checking today, and I'm not sure if I actually did do any.
No pictures.
That's what I thought. Thank you. Right, so this one, the application states that the upstairs residential space has been utilised as office space from November 2020 when the premises were taken over. It had previously been used in the same way by the previous owner and carried on as such until advised by St Albans District Council that planning permission was required for a change of use. The proposal shows that there are no proposed changes to the ground floor layout and that the first floor layout would alter bedroom 1 to an office and bedroom 2 into a storage area. Although concerns are expressed with regard to the loss of residential accommodation, this area appears to be necessary for the running of this business. Consider no objection.
Yes. And in fact, I think from what you said, Mim, effectively it's been operating as a business for some considerable time.
Yes, it has.
So I mean, I don't see a lot of mileage in not going with it unless anybody feels strongly. No, so we'll be happy to go with the recommendation. Thank you.
Okay.
5/20/21 0779. I know the just as a passing comment that although it's does not meet criteria required for consideration by the committee, access is across common land, by which I suppose it means the common. So I presume that has all been dealt with the town council.
I don't know about that one, to be honest. I wouldn't know. I can check on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that's a planning matter for us, but it does, because I think it did say when I looked it up that it did, when I looked at the application, it did mention about access across common land. I know Department of Town Council have been notified, but might just want to run it past Carl.
Yep, I will do. That's fine, thank you.
It's quite possible that they already have a way leave in place anyway.
Well, I was going to say, it is more than likely they already have a way leave, but I think it would be good practice just to double check,
Yeah.
or to check that there don't need to be any amendments to the way leave.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
we
no
could.
problem. Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
5/20/21 0793 Grove Avenue.
Right, there is a letter of support actually for this one from their neighbouring property number 7 on the St Albans District Council website. And that's the only letter that's on there. So this property is sited in a narrow road made up of differently designed properties with limited parking. The proposal to demolish the existing single-storey front and side extensions and erect a single-storey front and rear and a two-storey side extension appears to be an improvement to this property. The suggestion is to move the existing front door and replace it in the new single-storey front extension, allowing for additional space on the driveway for vehicle parking. The additional extensions do not extend beyond existing building lines and are set in from neighbouring boundaries, and therefore do not impact on neighbouring properties. Parking is shown as 3 parking spaces for the increase in bedrooms from 3 to 4. No trees will be affected by the proposal. Consider no objection.
Thank you. Do I have any comments, or are we happy to go with that recommendation? Looks okay to me. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next one, 5/20/21 0478 does not meet criteria for consideration by the committee. So can we move on to 5/20/21 0690 64 High Street.
Right, okay, so we've got some pictures for this one. Right, this property is a listed building, thanks Hev, and is sited in the Harpenden Conservation Area. The application is for the installation of an extractor flue, which is to be positioned on the rear external wall of the application property and will serve a pizza wood oven. It is to be fitted with a Rotovent spinning cowl, which is an anti-downdraft cowl, and is fitted in order to protect the premises. The flue is shown on the plans as placed approximately 1 metre higher than the window on the rear of the property and away from number 64B High Street. The hours of operation of the business are detailed on the application as Monday to Sunday, 10 AM till 23 PM, which is 11 o'clock. There are concerns that with the length of hours that the business will be operating and the close proximity of the flue to 64B High Street, that there will be a loss of amenity in terms of noise and odour. There are also concerns that the flue may be out of keeping with the character and appearance of the Harpenden Conservation Area, particularly as this is a locally listed building. Concerns are expressed with regard to loss of amenities to neighbouring properties, in particular number 64B High Street, in relation to noise and odour and possible harm to the character and appearance of the building and conservation area.
Could I just ask, looking at the pictures, which actually was 64B?
It was, can we go
Was
back?
it the hairdressers?
Yep. So
Right, I believe
I think
64.
the back of the property, isn't it? So this is the main high street, and this
Yeah.
is the parking area at the back
Yes.
here.
Yes,
Isn't 64B the flat above?
yes, yes.
Oh, okay, I was trying to work out where 64B was.
No, I think when I looked at a plan, I think I saw
Yes.
it there. I'm pretty certain.
Yes, because I mean, obviously it backs onto
The back, at the rear.
That's
Yes,
right.
because otherwise
Yes.
at the rear it's the I think it's the parish office. Yes.
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
I went to have a look. 64B is that side door you can see there, which I
Yes.
assume has a flight of stairs behind to the upstairs. I assume.
Mm.
But
right.
the side door is 64B because I wondered where it was.
That's right. You are right, because it's showing on the plans that there's an access on the side with the staircase going up.
Oh, right. Yes, I suppose it's on what part of the front, but I couldn't work out where B was.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, I assume it must be this little door here that
Yes.
then
Yes,
leads
the
to
little door
the
at the
upstairs
side.
flats. Yeah.
Yeah.
which I assume from this picture here, is it these 3 windows, or is that possibly, is that the flat, possibly?
I had trouble finding it at first.
I don't think it's the the finance people.
No,
No,
because
it's
no,
not.
there's an office in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
No, I think it's,
Those
I
3.
don't know if it's the 3 or the 2.
Yeah, so it's the flat on the top.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
leaving aside whether they have permission to attach the flue to the flat upstairs, and that depends in whose ownership that is in. I'm not so concerned about the siting behind the property vis-a-vis the conservation area. I'm more concerned about the nuisance value to the flat above.
Mm.
That does bother me.
Yeah.
Yes. Matt,
Thank you, Chair. Do we have any information on the existing operating hours of whatever business is in there at the moment?
I think it was.
It was the cake shop, wasn't
It was
it?
a cake shop, wasn't it? Sort
Yeah.
of, they decorated cake, very
Yeah.
highly decorated cakes.
So something that wouldn't have been open till 11 o'clock?
No.
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 I think
If I may, Chair, I wonder if the operator, the potential operator, has got a problem here, because he's started converting the downstairs shop area already. And I wonder if someone's alerted him and he needs planning permission for this flue as an afterthought. And I would like to be certain, show other examples in town or elsewhere that shows that sort of extraction for the event, etc., does not create any problems to adjoining properties.
Yes.
They're very skeptical about it.
Yes. Yeah, particularly given that it's a residential property above, and it's effectively adding an adjunct onto what is a
I think
residential property. It's not their property necessarily.
I think it's because it's going to be for hot food takeaways, so that's why it's going to be running all the time, including Sunday and bank holidays from 10
Yes.
till
Well, I'd also
11
be
as well.
concerned. Yes, I'm concerned about the hours, but that's for licensing. But,
Yeah.
It's going to be
I mean, I have to say, I'd be
it's
inclined
going to
to
be a
refuse.
pizza takeaway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Matt.
Sorry, I had trouble finding my unmute button. Yeah, no, I mean, generally, I'm inclined towards being more lenient where it's a business that's put in an application because of the current context of, what's happening. But I think I can't see how this wouldn't have an impact operating until 11 o'clock at night, just outside a residential property.
Yes.
And I'm not sure I'd quite go as far as refusal, but I think certainly this is something we need to bring to the attention of the district planning team. So I think express concern for me is what I would prefer to go down. But yeah, I would agree with
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to go with whatever councillors you feel inclined to, but I think you certainly need to make the point that it would appear to represent a considerable loss of amenity to the neighbouring properties. Paul.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, I would be happy with express concern on the basis that it is a residential property, but it is right in the town centre, kind of surrounded by restaurants. So the idea of a flue is not, perhaps so ridiculous as it would be just on any of our street, any of our residential streets.
Well, I mean, I'm happy to go with the expressed concern with regard to. I'm happy to go with the recommendation. So, are we happy to go with the recommendation? Thank you.
So, can I just clarify? Is that recommend refusal, or do you want to
No, it's what you put in. It's concerns are expressed.
Concerns.
Yes, to go with what you said.
Okay, thank you.
5/2021/0757 does not meet criteria for consideration by the committee, and similarly 5/2021/0744, and then move on to 5/2021/0794 Outwood.
Right, okay, we've got some pictures, I think, here.
We have.
Right, okay. Right, so the application property is set at the end of a cul-de-sac consisting of similar designed properties and is looking to extend to the rear and front of the dwelling house and increase habitable accommodation. The existing property currently has 2 bedrooms, although the application states that it was formerly a 3-bedroom property, but has undergone alterations to change and enlarge one of the bedrooms. It is now looking to reverse this change and also to add on another bedroom, turning this property into a 4-bedroom dwelling. The plans show that this is proposed by way of a 2-storey front extension to be sited next to the garage, with the garage itself to have a pitched roof. The existing conservatory is shown to be demolished, and a part single, part 2-storey rear extension is to accommodate the downstairs living accommodation, with another bedroom showing in the 2-storey element. There are no windows in the side elevations, and the building lines of the front and rear 2-storey elements are pulled away from neighbouring property number 9 Altwood. There appears to be no loss of amenity. No trees will be affected by this proposal. Car parking provision appears to be insufficient as there is limited space on the existing property frontage, and due to the fact that the property is sited at the end of a cul-de-sac, this could create conflict with regard to on-street parking. Consider, although the committee have no objection to the application in general, express concern with regards to insufficient parking provision for the proposed increase in habitable rooms.
Thank you. Thank you. Nigel.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Chair. My only observation, besides the parking, is if you look at the rear elevation, they've obviously got the bit of the extension adjoining the other part of the semi-detached only at 1 story, ground floor, but it's not a flat roof, it's a sloping roof, which means applying a 45-degree test to any windows in the adjoining property, you've got, for part of the extension, you've got rather a high wall. Does that cause us a concern? Because normally applying the 45-degree test, it's 1 story. Here you've got 1.5 stories for part of that extension. You understand the point I'm making?
Yeah, yes, I know where you're coming from, Nigel, yes. But I think, whilst Mick's looking at the plan, I'll take Matt and then Pip.
Thank you, Chair. If I'm reading this correctly, this is becoming a 4-bedroom property because they're reversing the change and then adding a bedroom. In which case, adding 2 bedrooms and losing a parking space seems to me to be worse than if it was just becoming a 3-bedroom. And therefore, I mean, I don't think we can refuse on the basis of parking, but I'd be inclined again to add a word between express and concern that indicated that we were a bit more ticked off about this than normal.
Yes. I think, Pip, did you have your hand up? You did. Pip and then Paul.
Really, it was just about the parking. There isn't much room around there for lots of parking. And if it is going up a bedroom, so that it now becomes a 4-bedroom, then that's obviously going to have an impact on those round about, really.
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, my concern builds on those 2 points, but I mean, I would just take it a bit further in that it seems effectively an overdevelopment. I think we can go beyond simply the parking. The parking is what triggers it for me. I agree, but it's a 4-bedroom property. And I don't think the others would be in that road. And it looks like it's pushing it too far. And the reason we have the rule of 3 car parks for 4 is we know 4-bedroom, have more inhabitants and likely more cars. if this was put forward to me as a 3-bedroom, you know, a reversal of it, you know,
Yes.
I'd still think the parking was tight and I might express concern, but I could go stronger than express concern given, you know, by linking it to an overdevelopment.
Yes, because it's, I mean, because the amount they're putting onto that, because they're not big plots.
Mm.
They're very close together, the houses, along all those little closes off all Wickbury Crescent.
Mm.
So it isn't quite a squish in. So I mean, I would be perhaps be inclined to say express concern both to insufficient parking and potential overdevelopment of a relatively constrained plot. Matt?
Can we make it express significant concern?
Yes. I'm quite happy to put that in. But I think we do need to add in, because I think it's, yes, I think it's pushing it, what they're putting in. And also, I think we also want to express significant concern. Perhaps we also want to mention and potential loss of amenity in terms of potential loss of amenity in terms of overlooking. If we want to take on board the point about it's sort of 1.5, or perhaps just put in potential loss of amenity to adjoining property.
Okay.
Are we happy with that?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
5 2021 08099 Langdale Avenue.
Right, 9 Langdale Avenue. Okay, thank you, Hev. Right, so this proposal for this property is for a single-storey rear extension, which is similar in footprint to that of neighbouring property number 10 Langdale, which was granted permission to extend in 2020. In addition to this part of the proposal, the application also details a 2-storey side extension, which will face the side elevation of neighbouring property number 8 Langdale Avenue, and a hip to gable loft conversion with a rear dormer window. The loft conversion shows the inclusion of a 4th bedroom to this existing 3-bedroom property, with the 2-storey side extension accommodating an additional bathroom on the 1st floor elevation and a utility room and separate WC on the ground floor. The only window on the 1st floor side elevation appears to be for the new bathroom, and it is presumed that this will be obscurely glazed, and therefore no loss of amenity will occur to the occupiers of number 8 Langdale Avenue. Due to the increase in bedroom accommodation from 3 to 4 rooms, there are concerns with regard to relevant parking provision. The application property is sited on a very small road with limited on-site parking, with no additional parking provision suggested within the application. There are concerns that should a large number of vehicles park on the road, this could create difficulties for road users. Consider express concern with regard to insufficient parking provision.
Okay. Yes, I have to say, I had to look at this several times. Perhaps it was me, I had a certain amount of difficulty getting my head around the drawings.
Oh. Yes. They are a little bit.
Nigel.
Thanks, Chair. Again, I also had a problem. I didn't go and look at this one. I only looked at the plans. And if you look at the plan, is that a flat roof and they're creating in the building? And if so, how does that tie up with the other semi next door, which doesn't seem to have a flat roof?
I have to say, I couldn't entirely relate the plans to what I had trouble quite understanding them. Maybe it was just me.
There you got me. Oh, hang on.
I couldn't work out the relationship between the roof and the dormer.
bedroom 4. That's, I think that's, isn't that the loft? That's the
Yes.
loft space. No, I don't know. It's rather large, isn't it?
Yes. Well, I thought it was, yes, it looked to me as if the dormer was very dominant,
Yes, it is very dominant.
to say the least of it.
Ah,
Mm.
that's a dormer. Okay, yeah, okay,
Yes,
yeah.
and I had
Yeah.
trouble with
Okay,
that.
right, okay.
I had trouble getting my head around the size of the dormer. Paul, you wanted to comment?
Yeah, I want to talk about the parking provision. I know it was highlighted in there. It's not shown very, well in that picture, because you look at the
Yeah.
houses the other side. It looks like a regular street.
But
There is
Langdale is very, very narrow.
there are no houses the other side, but equally
No.
there's no room to park the other side.
No.
It's, some hedges. It is a difficult area. There is a problem in the referring to the number 10's planning application granted in 2020, because at the time the district planning officers described car parking position as adequate, and they moved up to 4 bedrooms. Talked about 2 parking spaces within curtilage of the site, so there's a problem of balance, but that's more because I don't agree with personally with the view expressed when the planning permission was given. I think it's a problem, and it's getting. You can see the problem on the picture where you see the drop down curb. Really, there's really no space for people to park on the street, and I fear people will park on the pavement because the
Yes.
so that is my major concern, and it would be a significant concern
It
given what
is,
we said about
because,
others. I wouldn't just
I mean,
expect-
on that part of Langdale Avenue, as you say, there are no properties along the other side. There simply isn't enough room to park on the road and for traffic to pass through easily. I mean, I don't know what other people have got. Other people have got any views on the size of that dormer?
I think it's too. Sorry, Chair. I think it's just too big and dominant. And
So do I.
I'm looking at my another iPad at the moment, and I see it now. It's huge.
Well, it is. Well, yes. But as I say, I had trouble looking at the plans. I found it quite difficult to interpret them, to be honest. I would then, I mean, at the very least, I would express stronger concerns, both about, I think it's not, as Paul says, it's not just about insufficient parking provision on site. It is the fact that it is difficult to see how the road layout could support additional parking. And I would express very strong concerns at the over-dominance of the proposed dormer.
I would support you, Chair, on that.
Are we happy to go with that? Thank you. 5/2021-0841 3 Balk Close does not meet criteria for consideration. So then move on to 5/2021-0590 44 West Common Way.
All right, okay, so this one, we've also got a listed building consent application to go alongside this one on your.
Oh yes, so we'll take the 2 together.
Take the
Yes, so we'll
2
take
together.
5/2021-0598 with it.
Right, okay. So this one is for repairs and maintenance works to be carried out to this Grade 2 listed building sited in West Common Way. The works require drainage improvements to the rear garden and side passageway, repairs to the external ceramic tile terrace, and also the stepped access to the top of the link building from the garden. The timber decking is shown as being replaced by yellow buff brick paving due to its damage, and the brick threshold along the extension, which is proposed to be extended to form a terrace and walkway. A new spa pool is also detailed on the application, which appears to be set into the existing decking, which, as previously mentioned, is to be replaced by the yellow buff brick paving. All materials will have to be monitored and approved by the conservation officer at the local planning authority. The proposal details one tree which could possibly be affected by any intended works on the spa terrace at the rear of the property. This tree is considered to add visual amenity to the garden, and therefore minimal excavation works are proposed in order to protect the tree and its root protection area. Consider no objections, subject to appropriate design and use of materials on this Grade 2 listed building. No letters of objection have been put onto the planning website. No objection has been submitted from Highways regarding the repairs and maintenance works. And so I'll leave it up to councillors.
Chair, sorry, can I just jump in to declare an interest? I've realised
Yes.
that, you know, I know the owners of this house. One of the owners is a colleague of my wife, so I'll just be quiet.
Okay.
Okay, yes, thank you. If you could just note that. I mean, actually, the next application 5/2021-0598 more or less repeats what's been said, and it's simply the listed building consent. So I think we could basically, if you accept one, you accept the other. Do I have any comments? Seems. I mean, actually, obviously, if it needs repairs, I would be pleased to see them done. So, are we okay with that? And can we be okay? Can we take both of them as okay? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. 5/2021-0698, which is 29 West Common Way.
Okay. So got some pictures for this.
Yeah, coming up.
Thank you. Right, this property in 29 West Common Way is a locally listed building and is set on a large plot in the Harpenden Conservation Area. The proposal shows a two-storey side extension which has been set in from the existing side elevation, a loft conversion with a rear dormer and front roof lights. There's no increase in roof height. The proposed single-storey front extensions are to increase the size of the garage on the left-hand side of the dwelling and to add a small plant room onto the opposite side of the property, with the single-storey rear extension showing as a garden room. There is an increase of bedrooms from 5 to 6. However, parking on the site is not an issue. The final part of this proposal is to widen the existing crossover, which is shown by removing and replacing the existing pier at the front of the driveway. No trees will be affected by this proposal. No letters of objection have been received. Highways are fine with it, and it's also been okayed by the fire and rescue part of the Herts County Council as well. Consider no objections, subject to the appropriate design and use of materials on this locally listed building sited in the Harpenden Conservation Area.
John.
Just a brief one. I noticed that the last application was refused due to the absence of a report on bats and wildlife impact. I just wonder if that has now been addressed in this application.
Yes, it has been received.
Yes. You took the words from my mouth, John. Yes. Paul.
Thank you, Chair. I won't dwell on it. I'll just say that on locally listed buildings, sort of historic buildings, which I think it makes them, you know, not really that characterful.
No, I mean,
I can't really, you know, I know we haven't got a front picture of it, but I just thought I'd say it.
Yes, I'm not sure that I'm over keen on roof lights on a listed building.
They do.
I don't know that it's actually, I don't think there are any actual rules on that. Well,
I don't know,
that would be something really for the conservation officer, I guess.
They allow conservation roof lights in the conservation area, and it's a locally listed building rather than a grade
Yes.
2. So
I mean, I don't mind them on the back, but I mean, if no one feels strongly, I'm happy to go with the officers.
Well, I suppose we cover it by saying no objection, subject to the appropriate use and design of materials, and locally listed building, and then yes. Okay, are we happy to go with that? Thank you.
thank you.
5/2021/0746 does not meet criteria for consideration by the committee. So move on to 5/2021/0868 58 West Common.
All right, okay, we have some pickies, Hev. Right, okay, now you might well remember this particular application which we considered, and then it was withdrawn.
Yes, I remember the picture.
Yeah, so okay, so it was submitted and withdrawn, and has now been resubmitted, showing alterations made following a response submitted by Hertfordshire Highways, which pointed out that there were concerns with regards to the proximity of the previously proposed gates to the highway and possible conflict with reversing manoeuvres which may take place within the vicinity of the proposed new access onto West Common and also Redbourne Road. It was highlighted that the gates should be 6 metres from the highway boundary. This new proposal shows the new proposed crossover to be 10 metres away from the junction and allows for exit of vehicles in forward gear. The proposed new summer house is shown to be moved slightly to the rear of the site, and a new 2-metre brick wall adjacent in order to separate the drive from the rear garden. The application shows 2 trees to be removed, which are the large beech tree at the front of the property along the B487 and West Common corner, which is described as diseased, and a small cherry tree, which appears to be where the summer house is to be sited. No reference has been made regarding replacement, and I believe we picked this up last time. Along with the loss of these 2 trees, a mix of hedging also appears to be planned to be removed. Consider, although the comments submitted by Hertfordshire Highways appear to have been addressed, there are still concerns that replacement planting has not been addressed.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'd go with that. We have to go with that.
May I ask, Chair?
Yes.
The big tree they want to take down, has that formally been certified as being diseased, or is it merely their opinion?
No, there was a tree
There's a tree
survey.
report.
Was there? Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, there's a tree report. Yeah, so.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Okay, thank
Paul, are
you.
you okay with that? Yeah, thank you. Right, fine. We've got a large agenda tonight. 5/2021/0497. Does not meet criteria for consideration by the committee. Similarly, 5/2021/0644, 0819, 0821 and 0821. So then we move on to 5/2021/0825, 21 Leighton Road. In other words, the Legion Club thingy.
Right, okay, thank you, Hev. Right, okay, so this one is for a proposal submitted for 21 Leighton Road for a steel shipping container to be sited in the car park of 21 Leighton Road behind the small wooden shed to the side of Bennett's building for the purpose of serving takeaway food. The building from which Bennett's operates is a grade 2 listed building and is sited in the Harpenden Conservation Area. The application states that the container will be clad with wooden trellis and will take up 2 parking spaces on the site. Letters of objection have been received, and one of them actually states that these parking spaces are 2 disabled parking spots. I haven't actually got any clarification on that at this point in time. Waste disposal and recycling will be via Bennett's Club, and 3 full-time staff will run it during its operational hours of 11 in the morning till 11 at night, 7 days a week. The application states that it will operate under use class sui generis, although it is unclear whether this use classage has been granted or applied for. Concerns are expressed with regards to the long hours of operation and the subsequent impact on properties within the vicinity in terms of noise disruption and fumes. Concerns are also expressed with regards to the design and materials which are out of keeping with the Grade 2 listed building, the character and appearance of the conservation area and the street scene. Consider recommend refusal. The proposal is out of keeping with the street scene in the area and would have an enormously detrimental effect on residential properties within the vicinity in terms of noise disruption and fumes, particularly due to the length of operational hours proposed. Not only would it have a detrimental impact on residents, the design and materials of the proposed container are not in keeping with the Grade 2 listed building with which it would be associated, and therefore it does not complement either the character and appearance of the building or the Harpenden conservation area as a whole.
Thank you. Well, ask for any comments on, so that basically says it all. Paul, cousin first.
Thank you, Chair. I just wondered how much of it would be visible, you know, if you were walking past, you know, walking, I don't know, from Parkhall down to Pizza Express or something. Well, maybe you wouldn't be going to Pizza Express, maybe you're going here. But is it visible? Yeah, is it visible, basically?
I think at least half of it would be.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. And I mean, I would think it would be, to say the least of it, disruptive to the block of flats behind.
Yeah, agreed.
And also be extremely concerned. I mean, given the parking difficulties there, I'm extremely concerned about the loss of 2 parking spaces. I mean, basically, Matt.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think, as I said earlier, I think I always try when it's a application with commercial intention to see if we can't find a way to support it. But I think taken as a whole, the number of individual reasons to refuse this are far too significant. So yeah, I would be inclined very much to stick with the recommendation, unfortunately.
Yes. Pip.
Are there no facilities to do any cooking on the site anyway? I mean, I don't understand.
Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, I don't know whether the cooking. Yes, I'm not sure if the cooking will take place within the main building or what. Or is it going to be? What are they going to do in there? Sort of. Well, it's for the purpose of serving takeaway foods. So, well, yeah. Yes, it's not entirely clear, is it?
No.
I mean, if the cooking is done within the establishment and then they're just serving it from there, then there won't be, you know, the smells and the, you know, all that. It'll just be the noise of people coming and going, getting their takeaway food, but then be noise by a pub anyway. You know, that's the nature of the pub. Yeah. I don't understand. I mean, I can't. If they're cooking on the site, you know, I think I don't understand why they're cooking on the site if they've got a kitchen in the pub.
Chair, I know that I think the same people are using the car park temporarily now on like a Thursday and a Friday night to effectively operate a takeaway pizza business, where I understand they are cooking. They've maybe got some mobile van or something. So I presume
it's not made clear, but I think there's going to be cooking undertaken. Yes.
It does say, Chair, 3 full-time staff will run it during operational hours. That means they're actually in the unit. They're not just serving up.
Yeah, they're not inside. Yes. So that's my view. I think it is actually going to be cooking there.
I think it's a separate business, presumably whoever Bennett's, if they own the car park,
yes. I mean, basically, I mean, I just think it's inappropriate for the site and not. and not acceptable for the, well, for the residential properties in particular, the block of flats behind. Pip.
If you have something like that producing food outside, does it attract vermin?
Quite possibly. Well, it depends how they deal with the waste disposal,
Yeah.
but yes.
There are a lot of rats around town at the moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Well, I mean, are we councillors, are we happy to go with the recommendation? Thank you. And it has been, today, you've probably seen it has been called in. 5/2021-0859, 5 Douglas Road.
Okay. Thank you, Heb. Right, okay. This property, it's already gained planning permission to extend in 2019. However, retrospective permission is now being sought for some adaptations of the roof dimensions due to construction work not being possible. Other additions were made during the build, which were a set of French windows and a Juliet balcony at the rear of the property, as well as 2 roof lights. These alterations do not appear to have any detrimental impact on neighbouring properties, and no trees will be affected. No letters of objection have been cited on the Albans District Council website. Consider no objection.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't see anything to object. I'm probably being extremely dim-witted here. I don't quite understand what it means due to construction work not being possible. Do they mean that the work wasn't possible to undertake it because of COVID or something, or because of some practical reasons what they got wouldn't work?
It's probably practical because sometimes when you go to do something like a roof or something, sometimes the drawings don't quite work, so you have to adapt them.
I read it as being that it couldn't be made to work.
It just couldn't be made to work. Yeah. I mean, I don't have any objection. I don't personally have any objection to it. It looks okay. So everybody happy to go with that? Thank you.
Thank you.
5/2021-0861, 58 Townsend Lane.
Okay. Okay, this proposal put forward for this property is for a 2-storey rear extension, which will extend by 2.6 metres, enlarging existing bedrooms 2 and 4 and adding an ensuite to bedroom 2. There will, however, be no additional bedrooms. The existing ground floor living accommodation of kitchen and dining areas will also be increased. There will be no detrimental impact to neighbouring properties, as this dwelling is sited on a large plot with sufficient parking provision. Trees to be affected, no letters of objection. Consider no objection.
Thank you. Do I have any comments, councillors, or are we happy to go with that recommendation? Okay. Thank you. Right, 5/2021-0863, 18 Rosebery Avenue, does not meet criteria for consideration by the committee. Similarly for 0913 at 17 Fallows Green and 0934 at 16 St Martin's Close and 0935 21 Fallows Green and 0877 93 Ox Lane. So if we go to 5/2021-0885, and Councillor Canby, could I ask you if you could just chair this item and I'll just not take part in this bit of the meeting, so I declared an interest.
Yes, of course, Councillor Farmer. So yes, this is 5/2021-0885, 20 Carpenter's Close. Officer observations, take them away, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Right, so this property is set in a cul-de-sac in Carpenter's Close, with many of the properties set closely together, some of which are joined together by garages, as you can see here. The proposal shows a single-storey front extension commencing from the corner of the existing garage and finishing at the boundary of the neighbouring property, 22 Carpenter's Close. This will house a new front porch and a large study area. A single-storey extension is proposed for the rear of the property, which will increase the kitchen and family areas. The part single, part two-storey extension on the opposite side of the property is shown to increase the size of bedrooms 1 and 3. The second-storey elevation is shown to be pulled in from the current building line. There will be no additional bedrooms. Although the dwelling currently has a double garage, this appears to have been reduced down to a single one with a roller shutter being added to one side and a small high window being added to the other. Concerns are expressed with regard to possible terracing effect due to the increase in the size of the property and the existing proximity of the neighbouring properties. Consider expressed concern regarding the single-storey front extension which extends up to the side boundary of number 22 Carpenter's Close, resulting in a terracing effect on the street scene. Concerns also regarding the part single, part two-storey side extension, which would have a detrimental impact on neighbouring property number 18 in terms of loss of amenity.
Thank you, Mim. Can I just ask, the parking being reduced from a double to a single garage, does that give it any parking problems, or has it still got sufficient?
I think it might well, hang on just a second. Right, so there's no increase in bedrooms, just enlargement, but you are going to lose one of the parking spots. So, I mean, there's not a lot of parking around there, and if you're losing one of the parking spots, then ultimately, can we see the picture again?
Yeah,
Heather,
I
of
was
the
just in the
street?
process of doing that actually.
Yeah,
Come on.
because I don't think there's a lot of parking on the front. Right, okay, so you had,
So I suppose it's 3 spaces will be, won't it?
yeah, oh, so there should be sufficient then.
Okay.
They're losing just one garage, did you say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, 3 spaces looks like it should be all
yeah.
right. Councillors, does anyone have any comments on this item? Nigel.
Chair, I tend to support the officer's recommendations that we should be expressing concern, etc., in relation to the terracing effect and also the parking, loss of amenity to the neighbours. I think it's pretty well developed. If anything, it's overdeveloped already, and Murray, actually, you're just going to end up with a more massive building. So I would stick with the recommendation, or maybe even make it slightly stronger.
Thank you, Nigel. Any other councillors like to comment on this application? I can't see any hands. I think initially, if I just propose going with the officer recommendation as written, would councillors be in favour of that? I think
Yep.
that was unanimous.
That's unanimous, yeah.
In that case, I shall hand the chair back to Councillor Farmer.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Okay, so moving on to 5/2021 08916 Croft Bay.
Okay, right, so have we got any pictures for this one, Helen?
Yeah, coming up. There we go.
Lovely, thank you. Right, this property is set in a road of mixed properties within a line of smaller scale dwellings, but with larger type houses on the opposite side of the road. The size of these dwellings are deceiving as they look small from the roadway, but extend out onto fairly large plots at the rear. This application for a single-storey side and rear extension shows an infill extension at the back of the property. The proposed loft conversion will house front, side and rear box dormers with hipped roofs and will accommodate 4 additional bedrooms. There is 1 bedroom which remains on the ground floor. This means that the property will change from a 3-bedroom to a 5-bedroom dwelling. There does not appear to be any detrimental impact to neighbouring properties because of the proposed positioning of the dormers. Siting of the existing garage will remain, and current parking arrangements appear to be sufficient for the expected parking provision. No trees will be affected by this proposal. Consider no objection, and no letters of objection have been posted on St Albans website.
Okay, do I have any comments? No, we have to go with the recommendation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 5/20/21 Morton End Lane.
Okay, thank you. Right. Okay, so have we got any pictures for this one?
No, I
Helen?
don't think we have, Mim.
No, okay, that's fine. This is
No,
just for,
we haven't, I'm afraid.
right. That's probably because it's for amendments to planning permission, which was granted for a replacement 5-bedroom dwelling. The amendments are for the addition of a new air conditioning unit to the side of the building, the rooftop chimney, which is to be removed, and a new chimney to be erected on the side of the property, and alterations to the window design. Concerns are expressed relating to the addition of the air conditioning unit with regards to potential loss of amenity to number 13 Morton End Lane in terms of noise disturbance. There were no details about the air conditioning unit enclosed in the application. All I could see was a very small little marking on the plans to show that it was there, and I really had to search for any changes to the application. So consider express concern regarding the detrimental impact that the proposed air conditioning unit may have on neighbouring property number 13 Morton End Lane in terms of noise disturbance.
I'd just like to ask if we can't really see what the impact was, whether there's any visual disturbance as well, because these things can either be very small and very unobtrusive to, quite frankly, being quite gargantuan. I suspect it might be more the former, but it isn't just the noise. If it's visible on the side to the street scene, I'd be concerned.
Yes, and it's very, since there's no details to give, and we don't know what we're looking at.
No.
I think councillors, I'd be inclined to put something in there to say a concern expressed at the lack of detail provided regarding the proposed air conditioning unit, so that it's not possible to assess any potential loss of amenity, visual amenity.
Okay.
Would councillors, would you be prepared to? Yeah, because I mean.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, should we okay to go with that? Or
Okay.
Nigel, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then 5/20/21 8 Barnesdean.
Okay. This property is set in a road of similar style properties and set away from number 10 with no development proposed on this side of the host dwelling. The application site is set closer to neighbouring property number 6 Barnesdean with a single-storey garage set close to its boundary. The proposal shows a single-storey front extension running along the front of the property which joins the garage to the house, with a single-storey part extension at the rear which houses a utility room. A porch is being added to the front of the dwelling house. The first floor extension over the garage appears to be pulled in from the outside edge in order to remain subservient to the original building. This will house a bedroom and an ensuite and will have a window on the side elevation. At the rear of the proposed bedroom and ensuite, the application displays French doors and side lights along with the Juliet balcony. The proposal shows no increase in bedroom accommodation, therefore no change to parking arrangements. There is the addition of a small study room on the first floor plan. No trees will be affected by this proposal. Consider no objection.
Thank you. Do I have any comments, or are we happy to go with that? Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Seems to be a very long agenda tonight on applications. Agenda item 7 is just a verbal report from Mim.
Yes, basically what it is, St Albans District Council sent an email out to all town and parish councils stating that they had they have a list of names and different things that they use for when they name and number buildings or roads within their area. And their current list had mostly been used up, and so they were offering the opportunity to put names forward that can be used for such purposes to celebrate residents or histories of the various parishes. So what they were asking was for any suggestions for Harpenden to put forward for new streets, for names that either have a historical local link to the area and are easily spelled or pronounced. And that's basically what this is about. Any suggested names, along with a brief description of the historical or local link, to be put forward. And they actually put some criteria forward as well to avoid any sort of names that already exist, etc., etc. And all this information has been put on the info bulletin for you about a week or so ago as well. I have already contacted the History Society and the Harpenden Society, and I'm waiting for them to get back to me as well, so that we could forward any suggestions back to St Albans. And they've asked for me, or for the council, to get back with any suggestions by the 12th of May.
Okay.
So if councillors have any suggestions, if they could let either myself or Heather know, and then we'll deal with it from here on in.
Okay, we can do that.
Ro-
So it's really
Rose-
just for noting.
Rosemary Close, Drake Avenue.
Well, actually, the one thought I've had just to share with councillors, I don't believe there is any road named in the town to reflect the reason why Mount Everest is in the mayoral chain.
Oh,
Right, probably not.
And I think that perhaps is part of our history. So either we put in, suggest Everest, because Westmacott is rather an odd word for a road, but or a thing, or Dr. Pugh, but it's something to consider because that is a part of our history.
so if I send this email out again
Yes.
to all of you, then would that help, so that you can obviously
Yes.
review all the criteria again, and then you can
Yes.
send any suggestions through
Yes.
to, would you prefer suggestions to come through to you, Rosemary? And
No,
or would
I'm
you
sure.
like it
No,
all to-
not as now. I'm sure it would be fine just to send it through to you and Heather. And then,
Okay, that's fine.
and I
That's
dare say maybe overlap with the History Society. I mean, I don't know, there are other ones
okay.
sort of-
Okay, and then we'll deal with it in the
Yes.
office and put it
Yes.
via
So
Carl.
that- yes.
And yeah,
Yes.
okay, that's
Okay.
fine. Thank you.
Agenda item 8 is appeal decision. So I'm sure we've all read it. Just to draw attention to the fact that 40 The Uplands, the appeal was refused.
Okay.
Well, just appeal refused, dismissed, to use the correct terminology. So that one was appeared. And then agenda item 9, tree works really is just for noting, and technical applications
Yeah.
for noting. The weekly list of decisions for noting. So she going through it at the speed of some writing. And I think that's, well, you just jot the agenda item numbers down. I think that's it. Except we're not sure the date of the next committee meeting. When is the next meeting?
It's on Tuesday, the 18th of May.
Tuesday the 18th of May. Okie dokies. Right, so I think that's it. So I can declare the meeting closed at 21:05.
Thank you.
I just mentioned I did go into the council offices yesterday and sign a bumper bundle of minutes. Paul.
I think he's saying goodbye.
Oh,
Saying goodbye.
Yeah, I was just waving goodbye. I wasn't voting again.
Goodbye. Thank you very much, councillors.
Thank
See
you.
you all.
Thank